Hi, Chris here, and welcome to our Net Zero Carbon Challenge across East Sussex. I'm down here in Hastings, a famous spot for many things, including the Battle of Hastings. And one of the things I'm down here for is because of Dungeness Nuclear Power Station. You might be able to see it on the horizon, which I'll come back to later. But for now, this is originally a 12-hour challenge. It's been extended a little bit. I'll be going all over East Sussex, speaking to energy champions to look at what's possible in terms of getting to net zero carbon across East Sussex. So come with us on this journey, and it should be a fun, exciting and profound time.
Hello, I'm Garen. I'm a member of SCAN, and I'm interested in the circular economy and making it realistic and how we can get the local area to support itself.
Dean Climate Action Network, we've got a lively bunch here, and the energy group is really important. Though we also have something called a Dean's Repair Cafe, which has been going the longest. And those who remember a time when their dad would resole their shoes, I just happen to have some in my bag. Sometimes these old skills can make a big difference to the longevity of your stuff and mean that you're not buying it anew all the way from China or somewhere. So that's what we do routinely, and it's actually quite good fun and very geeky.
I'm Miranda. I'm one of the members of Ovingdean Community Energy, and we're trying to bring community renewable energy to the village through various means, one of which we hope will be a wind turbine in the not too distant future. In the meantime, we are trying to get solar panels on our public buildings within the conservation area. We've run heat pump workshops, and we've done a few village assemblies to gauge the opinion of the villagers over renewable energy. Last year we got a £40,000 grant to formulate our decarbonisation plan for Ovingdean, which we are now beginning to implement.
My name's Elise Manning. I'm a climate officer at Rother District Council, and my role involves doing lots of things with climate projects, delivery for the council, as well as measuring the council's carbon footprint every year and looking at some of the emissions of the wider district as well. Yeah, absolutely. So as a climate officer, I attend lots of different meetings and partnerships across the district and the wider area of East Sussex as well. We covering lots of different sort of themes around net zero. So energy, food, biodiversity, transport, waste, lots of different areas. And one of the key things that I try to do in my role is to make sure that I'm joining up community groups that have similar aims, so they can learn from each other and share best practice. And other types of groups as well. And we can also really help with communicating messages and amplifying some really good work that's going on through our communication channels here at the council.
Hello, I'm Richard Lintott. I'm chairman of Ovingdean Village Hall. It's a very well utilised facility. We have a bar which opens 3 times a week for the community. And in recent years, we've taken out the storage heaters, put gas in, has central heating. We've decorated it. We've had a fantastic survey from BESCO about energy, and we've done a lot of energy saving schemes. We're currently looking at maybe putting solar panels on the roof if we're allowed. Anything we can do for the environment and the local community, then we're up for it.
Hi, I'm Chris Williams. I run the Hastings Kelp Project. It is a project here in Hastings based at the aquarium where we are trialling and growing kelp from spores that we've got locally to rewild the oceans. We hope to trial all manner of different ideas in substrate, heating, lighting, and all different conditions in our laboratory out the back with students from Brighton University. And then we will hopefully, theoretically, plant them out into the oceans, and nature should lead. and it will take over. And as carbon, or the kelp is 3 times better than land forests for carbon sequestration, and kelp is amazing for biodiversity through nurseries and food. We could just really bring back the oceans along our coastline and make a difference to the problems we've caused through climate change and overfishing.
Hello, I'm Jill Shackrock and I'm with Eastbourne Eco Action Network, and we've got lots of projects set up around the town. I'm particularly interested in projects where people can see a real benefit of carbon beyond any savings in carbon emissions, where they can save money perhaps on energy or public transport, more use of public transport on active travel, where people will see health benefits to themselves and less congestion, and also in biodiversity projects where we can see more animals introduced into our town, more wildlife, more insects, and waste, where we can reduce waste and pollution. So I think lots of real benefits that the community can enjoy and reduce our carbon impact.
So hi, I'm Robert McGowan, one of the 3 directors of Eco Action Network from Eastbourne, and I've been here 15 years, and one of my preoccupations has been active travel and cycling, because I noticed pretty quickly that this town is one of very few seaside towns in the country that doesn't have a traffic-free route, safe cycling route along its seafront for some reason. And I've been campaigning the Bespoke Cycle Group for many years to try and understand why that is and try and make some progress. And nothing has happened on that front, which is quite disappointing. But I feel there is a bit of a sea change now in terms of the 2 councils that are responsible for it, beginning to think that it's a good idea and beginning to get their weight behind it. And without that, it certainly won't ever happen. But one of the projects that I've sort of continued with Eco Action Network is to sort of link up with ecotourism, because this is a town, like many towns on the south coast, that's dependent on tourism for a lot of its income historically and in the future. And there's been various talk about sort of opening up the access to the downs and the coast as part of that offer. And I think a very good idea for me would be making the Seafront Cycleway in Eastbourne so people can get around the town, but also linking it through to our neighbouring towns, Bexhill and Hastings, which are 15 miles away. Travelling to them at the moment by car is very slow, but it could be a very fine sort of coastal route, rather like they have in Devon and Cornwall. And there's lots of evidence to show where they've opened these kind of routes up for tourists and for locals, that lots of people use it. Build it and they will come is the idea. And I'm convinced that this is a very good case for doing that. This would be a very good place to do that. And I'm not the only one. And I think that's what I've been, as a group, we've been doing. We've been trying to sort of build coalitions. We're trying to say, well, it's not just weirdos like me that think this is a good idea. There's also these other institutions and groups that are based in this area who also think it's a good idea. And that includes things like the Town and Gallery, Delaware Pavilion, Hastings Contemporary, the 3 councils of the local towns, Sustrans. And honestly, there's a great list of perhaps about 15 organisations that, if you ask them, tick the box and they say, yeah, it's a good idea, let's do that. So I see our role in a way is it's bringing people together, it's coming up with ideas and reminding people that if they work together, then something might actually happen. And the evidence suggests that it won't happen unless you do that. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this and why I think that we're a valid and useful organisation in doing these kind of things, these kind of projects.
One of the great opportunities about carbon neutrality or net zero is create the opportunity to improve the quality of life for everybody in Eastbourne. For example, by helping people to reduce their energy bills or to keep their home warmer. We are at the same time reducing people's energy bills and therefore helping to reduce the cost of living generally. Also, some of the action that capture carbon, for example, like tree planting, is also very useful because more trees around the town create the sort of cooling shade that that the town needs, especially when we start getting the increasing number of heat waves that climate change is bringing. And of course, if we have more active travel measures in town, like more cycle lanes, then that gives people more opportunity to engage in healthy activities like so. So a lot of the actions that the town can do to reduce its carbon emissions or to capture carbon or to get to net zero are actions that improve everybody's lives generally. So we shouldn't look upon net zero as a challenge or a burden, also as very much an opportunity to make life better for everybody.
Hello, I'm Graham, founder member of Saltdean Climate Action Network. I have particular interests in the energy, and my background was in architectural design and construction. And we've been looking at local houses in terms of energy use initially. But Saltdean's full of bungalows built between the 1930s and quite a lot up to the 60s that have major damp problems. Myself and a fellow member volunteered to look at some when we had some spare time. We looked at 7 houses or bungalows. They're all bungalows. And the common factor was a black mould or mould of all sorts in corners, the cold corners. Condensation's going to happen. One particularly interesting one was a young woman, Ashley, had 3 quotes from people who injected damp-proof courses. And 2 of them said the solution is an injected damp-proof course. One of these companies said your damp-proof course looks fine. You've just got a lot of humidity in your house. Damp on the cold walls is going to turn into mold. We looked at her house and she had no extract fan, either of the bathrooms, 3 small children under 5, lots of humidity, not even a cooker in the working cooker wood in the kitchen. So we spotted a few points on walls where damp could get in, windows that weren't sealed around the edges properly and some poor pointing, a bit of leaking from the gutter. But the main problem we thought was humidity in the house. So we gave a bit of advice and it seemed to solve the problem. They put it into action. It cost them a maximum of, I can't remember, it was somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 in total as do-it-yourself bits and pieces and buying a cheap little dehumidifier. And they've been quoted by the 2 who said she needed more work done in the tens of thousands. So we had good reports generally from all the 7 houses. Work well done.
Hi, I'm Angie Lintott. I'm a member of Ovingdean WI. The WI is a national organisation which focuses on education. And my particular interest is environment. And when there was an opportunity to help with a climate change campaign, I put my hand up, and I've been a climate ambassador for about 4 or 5 years now. I work with 9 other colleagues across East Sussex. And our main action is to educate people who are unaware of the impact of climate change and what they can do about it. So every month we write an article about different aspects of climate change and what people can do to help. And hopefully, even if a small percentage read those articles and an even smaller percentage actually do something, we will make great sways forward. So I'm very happy to take part in that project.
Hi, I'm Mike Coyne, and I'm here with our friends Jeff and David. Together we sort of make up the northern team, North Sussex team, working on energy matters. So we're all 3 energy champions. We've been running a whole series of activities like advice sessions, repair cafe in Crowborough. We started to get open house activities moving as well. And at the moment, we've just been discussing carbon footprints and trying to communicate to people the issues related to that, see if we can do it a bit more effectively.
I think most of my efforts of late have been involved with the Five Ashes Village Hall in terms of all the potential sources of energy which we might use to better effect. We put on solar panels. We've had a heat pump installed. So we're looking very much at trying to reduce the overall use of energy from external sources. So that's where I'm at the moment. And to date, it's been very successful in terms of energy saving measures. We held an open house forum about 6 or 8 weeks ago, which was well attended by people from around the county. With some very productive discussions as a consequence of that. We've had a couple of local installers who were very pleased to be there. And in the strength of that, they've actually been commissioned to do some installation work as well. So overall, the message was very effective.
Heathfield is about to have an environmental fair on the 18th of October. It'll be brilliant. Bring everyone. It will have lots of stuff to do with solar and energy and electric things. It will involve charities and local businesses and lots of games for children. Bring your money.